Welcome, everybody, to the Random Encounter. This is the RPGFan podcast. I'm your host, Robert Steinman. I'm joined today by Zack Pintchik.
How's it going, guys?
Dennis Rubenshteyn. I got it this time.
Yep. Hello.
All right. And Neal, and I probably should have asked Neal how to pronounce his last name before we got started. Neal Chandran? Yeah?
That works.
All right. Excellent. Now, what is it like totally? Like Chandran, Chandran?
Chandran's fine.
Chandran, okay, yeah, I definitely should have said that in the pre-show warm-up. I apologize for that. We got a regular show for you guys today, as regular as the second episode wherever airing is. We're going to start out with what I like to call the rundown, which are the games that we're playing right now, either for review or for fun. Moving on into our editorial topic, which everybody should hate in one way or another. See what I did there? And then moving on into news, and then lastly, with E3 fast approaching, we're going to start off with some E3 predictions. Hopefully, we can get some ideas out there of what's going to happen, and then 2 weeks after it, we can laugh at each other for how wrong we've been. So, Neal is our guest today. So,
hi, everybody!
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Okay. All right, so Neal, since you are the guest, you get honors of telling us what you've been playing.
Lately I've just been playing dabbling in a few indie games for fun, like Ella's Hope by Alderlea Games, a little bit of Whisper of a Rose by Rose Portal. Recently finished Rain Blood, Town of Death by Soulframe.
No, that's not morbid at all, right? I'm just curious.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
Of course not. Hey, but what I'm really more or less working on for the fan is reviewing the Tokimeki Memorial 4 character single box soundtrack. Basically, it's 5 discs of character themes by the voice actors, instrumental versions, drama tracks. Apparently there's 10 girls in the game you can date, if I am to believe the album cover, and, well, what can I say? As a fan of Japanese visual novels and love adventures,
Dude, we're already starting to get into trouble. We get yelled at to be...
Dude, hey,
be careful. You're treading water. Be careful, Neal. Be careful.
Dude, Tokimeki Memorial's a completely safe and harmless game. And I wish I could see it in English.
Well, on a side comment to that, I thought it was, Persona, you could always, date the characters and stuff. And there was that one part, I forget which one in Persona 4 I was, dating. I think it was the one who, owned the hotel. I can't remember her name. And,
Chiko?
Chiko. Yukiko owned the hotel.
Yeah, and, she spent the night at my apartment in the game. And I was like, this is kind of racy. I'm kind of surprised that I got away with it.
Dude, the Persona 3 and Persona 4 characters shared lots of tender moments.
But that was awesome. That was awesome.
Of course.
A little too tender at times, but tender nonetheless.
So what else? What else have you been doing, Neal?
That's mostly about it as far as games go. Although, the most recent game I reviewed for RPGFan is Hex's Force. It's developed by Sting, who also did the Depth Heaven series, like Riviera, Yggdra Union. They also did that dungeon crawler Baroque on PlayStation 2 and Wii. Hex's Force Hex's Force also published by Atlas.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, come on. I swear, Atlas should have a direct line to my bank account. They get so much of my money.
See, but all these games, I feel like I'm maybe more the mainstream RPG player out of the group because I have not heard of any of these games, ever.
Yeah.
They're weird in some senses, especially the Depth of Heaven games where, they break around the traditional concepts and go weird for the sake of being weird, mechanic-wise.
They really do, but Hex's Force doesn't do that. I mean, it's a very traditional RPG, and personally, I think it's got what it takes to perhaps be a sleeper hit for 2010.
Tell me a little bit about the game. What kind of game? I have no idea what it is. Tell me a little bit about it. What is it? An action RPG? Is it a dating sim? What is it?
It's traditional turn-based RPG. you can choose from 2 protagonists. There's a boy whose storyline you can follow, or a girl. The boy is like a very straight-laced knight from the dark side of the world where there's racial tension between the humans and the furries. And then the girl is just, and then in the white side of the world, the girl is like a lazy shrine maiden who sleeps through class and
skips church.
Skips church. Yes, she's a naughty girl, but somehow the gods decide you're the chosen one to save the world.
So it's fairly straightforward. It's not the puzzle RPG that the name might imply with the hexes.
Nope.
No. All right. Yeah, that's the first thing that I kind of thought of.
A hex-based game.
Yeah.
Nah, it's very traditional. It's really like if you were to compare it, if you were to look at games this year like Infinite Space or Resonance of Fate, those I think are more forward-thinking, more experimental, more creatively designed. And Hex's Force is about as traditional as it gets. But you know what? The game was really charming, and that really won me over. And not to digress too much, but it just amazes me how much charm plays a part in how much we value an RPG. It's like take a look at Lunar. It's a beloved classic, but not because it had groundbreaking gameplay or a complex narrative like George R.R. Martin would write. I mean, it's a classic because it was just so damn charming.
Should I mention now? Should I mention an hour later that I hated Lunar? Like, am I going to get kicked off of the site for saying that I hate Lunar?
I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with Lunar too. It's like, excuse me. It's one of those games where, everyone was hyping it up that, oh, it's so great, it's so charming, and then I played it, I'm like, huh? That's it? But then I went back to it a little later, and I'm like, okay, all right, I can see why people think it's charming.
On a side note, I think we should coin something for the podcast because I'm already getting annoyed hearing things like traditional RPG and forward-thinking. I think we should just call it like conservative RPG and liberal RPG. So you have the conservative RPG, which just maintains the standard and doesn't do anything new, and then you have the liberal RPG, which is like trying to destroy the country and like do new things. No, I'm just totally kidding. But I kind of like the idea of calling it a conservative RPG because it's adhering to certain ideas and not really doing anything new. Like Final Fantasy 13 could be considered an ultra-liberal RPG. It's totally doing things different. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. Maybe I'm just
that's
moving
cool.
on.
No, but in that case, I would say okay. Hex's Force conservative, Infinite Space liberal.
Okay, all right. So now, who wants to go next? Either Zack or Dennis, unless you got anything else to add, Neal.
I got nothing. I want other people to talk to, or I'll just suck all the air out of the room.
All right, well, if you want, I'll take this one over.
Go for it, Zack.
I played Rob, what might be your favorite game of the year, Alpha Protocol. Through
no. In all honesty, the more I've seen of Alpha Protocol,
oh, don't please, Rob, you're gonna hate it so much, so much.
No, I mean, okay. Let me put it this way: when it comes down to about $30, I'll pick it up and try it. But Scott Sharkey over at OneUp.com, I mean, he had a really good argument for the game. So tell me about your experience with it.
Now, coming from the camp that enjoyed Mass Effect 1 and that kind of was able to push through the shaky shooting and all of that, I was able to enjoy Alpha Protocol for what it was. And it certainly took me a little while. For those of you who are listening who don't know Alpha Protocol, it's the espionage RPG from Sega, and I believe Obsidian developed it. So has Chris Avallone as the writing lead and the lead designer, and so on the good side, I'll just get down to the basics. The good side, the dialogue is really well crafted, and it does use that Mass Effect sort of dialogue wheel sort of thing, except that instead of just kind of having those two options, one on the top you have the good choice, and then on the bottom you have the evil shepherd choice. You can either choose from professional, suave, or aggressive, and so those 3 archetypes are supposed to have. I believe Jason Bourne is the professional archetype, that they base it on. James Bond is the suave archetype, and Jack Bauer. So you have the 3 JBs of spy fiction, and so that's what they say. But
is there an Austin Powers protocol that you can go for to shag everybody that you get?
There are a couple of really terrible lines that do pop up that make me kind of cringe. But the dialogue for the most part is really well written. Maybe not the best delivered dialogue, but it's it does the trick. And the caveat that you have is that when you make your choice between suave, professional, or angry, and then occasionally execute or just cut off the situation, so you can either just shoot someone in the face. There's a lot of shooting in the face.
As it should be.
Indeed, but it's all timed. You have sometimes 3 seconds to make a choice. Sometimes they give you a little bit longer, like 10 seconds. But it's often the case that you're given these really big decisions, these hefty decisions that carry a lot of weight in the progression of the plot, that you only have 5 seconds to think over. And, it changed the way that I thought about, how I was going about the game, because, in Mass Effect, there's, I haven't finished the second one yet, so I can't talk about that, but there are some, a couple of choices at the end of the first one that, you have, it seems like a tense situation, but you really have all the time in the world to think about it if you're so inclined. But in this one, there's a couple of situations where it looks like a character might be pulling a gun, and you have to choose whether you're going to just shoot them right then and there. And sometimes you make a decision that you kind of regret. And so on the dialogue and story end, it's fairly compelling. There are a couple of plot holes that I had one character who I thought would have been a bigger part of the overall story just not show up. Just completely was absent during the ending sequence. But for the most part, it's, there were a couple of really kind of nice plot twists that took me by surprise. Well written, as I said. But then when you get to the actual gameplay, it really starts to rub me the wrong way. I had this discussion with a couple of guys on the board, and
I saw that thread.
Yeah, it's the biggest problem I see is the shooting. And basically, there's a little bit of debate as to how this actually works, but essentially you're given this fairly large circle for each of your guns, and the bullets are promised to go somewhere within that circle. But it's a fairly large circle, so it might as well be kind of dice roll generated, and you have your accuracy stats for your guns. And overall, at the beginning of the game, I was playing a pistol user, pistol, stealth, martial arts, and pretty much throughout the game, I found it more efficient to just go and punch everyone in the face. No kidding, it's just pretty much. I would either stealth around and kind of judo chop to the neck, or I would be just kind of give a flying knee, and they would go down, and that would be that, and I wouldn't have any issues punching people in the face. But when the gunplay came in, they have their kind of critical hit system, which is basically the only way you can guarantee you're going to hit someone, which I really just rubbed me the wrong way. It takes the flow out of the game completely. So unlike, say, Red Dead Redemption, which is, one of the more kind of easy shooters that I've played in the past, year or so, you just kind of aim, it snaps to the target and you shoot, and you're pretty much guaranteed to hit. In Alpha Protocol, you have to either hide behind cover or, have your pistol drawn or have your assault rifle drawn and wait for the, whatever the critical hit mechanic. It depends. It changes between the 4 gun classes. You have to wait for that to load up. And at the beginning of the game, it's 4 seconds. You have to wait 4 seconds before you take a shot. And it just,
no way!
It kills the flow entirely. It kills the flow entirely. And granted, you can, hit, but it really disrupts the flow. And if you don't do that, for one, you're not going to do a tremendous amount of damage. I think that might change. Pistols aren't the strongest gun set in the game, and I might have screwed myself a little there. But it really just disrupts the flow, and it makes you feel kind of underpowered. And it's a bummer because if the game had played like Splinter Cell, which is the most recent spy game that I've played, it would have been, the action would have been so much more fast paced. That's what I really liked about Splinter Cell, which is in no way an RPG, but it's just they did everything they could to make Sam Fisher this a panther. That's their kind of code word. To be able to strike quickly and just kill people with maximum efficiency, and this is the opposite of what Alpha Protocol does.
Go ahead, Neal. Go ahead.
Okay, because it's kind of funny if you look at E3s in the past and everything. Alpha Protocol kept getting awards for this is the game we're most looking forward to. This is the hit of E3. But hearing, Zack, what you said and what other people said, how the gameplay is kind of clunky and all, it's almost like, Game of the Year is kind of turning into Disappointment of the Year.
I mean, definitely. That's the thing. Oh, sorry, go for it, Dennis.
Because this just reminds me of another thing. It's like, another game that won all the easy 3 awards and stuff like that. And then there is another game that we gave a lot of awards for, and look at that sort of Hellgate London. Anyone?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was just thinking of that too, my man.
Yee, that's salt. That is
but I mean,
salt.
the thing that I'd really say about Alpha Protocol is that I actually enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the plot enough to play through the end. And while that may be a 6 or 7 out of 10 if you want to put it on a scale, it held my attention for 2 days straight. Like, that's all I played. And granted, I'm on summer break, but I had to work to get around it. But if it was released before Mass Effect 2, then it would have been taken in such a different light, because Mass Effect 2 really corrected everything that was wrong about Mass Effect 1's shooting, and it's not the best shooter, but it is far more competent. And Alpha Protocol was supposed to come out over a year ago. The original announced release date was February 2009, and I can only imagine that if the game had actually come out then, it would have been receiving much higher praise, because that's what, a year and a half after Mass Effect 1 came out.
Well, now, quick question, and then we'll get the ball rolling, so we don't go over on time. Not trying to cut you off. The shooting mechanic sounds like it's the key problem, but is this a situation where you always have to rely on the shooting mechanic, or can you get around it by focusing on the conversation system? I know the game also has a stealth system, and I've heard there's problems with that. But is it sort of one of these, like Dragon Age, for example? You're always going to have combat. You just have scenarios where you're going to have combat, and there's no way to get around it. So
that's pretty much the case. Granted, the stealth system is there. It doesn't work great. It's not a great stealth system, but it's there. And one thing that I've been reading recently on some other message boards is that if you don't want to have to deal with the shooting, and you really want to get down to the conversation aspects, if you play a shotgun build and you really just pump your stats into shotguns, resistance, I think, which is the kind of health building stat, and maybe martial arts or sabotage, which I think sabotage takes care of any of the mini games, which are equally annoying. If you pump your stats into those 3 things, you can really just go around, with this just shove off build, for lack of a more vulgar word. You can really just run around the whole game, just shooting people in the face, and that'll do the trick. And then one last thing that I will say before, I finish my little talk in the game. I really did enjoy it. The one thing I really liked about the dialogue was that the decisions you make, who you kill, what you decide to do over the course of the game does change the plot, not insignificantly. And I kind of laud Obsidian more than BioWare, and at least as far as Mass Effect goes. Again, I haven't played to the end of 2, but there, certain characters that you can just right off the bat kill off, and that will completely change your interactions with other characters. There's, I watched there's a video on YouTube, and this contains spoilers, but if you look for like psychopathic Mike Thornton or something like that, and that's the character from the game. I played the game trying to kind of woo everyone, get on everyone's good side. But you can really...
You tried to woo them?
I mean,
He tried to be James Bond, dude!
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, I tried to have some fun with the ladies. I tried to, get on everyone's good side generally. But you can go through playing just a sociopath. Like, my God, they're just...
Wait, are we talking like full-on Heath Ledger Joker?
I mean, maybe not that intense, but you can just... I do, give my applause to Chris Avallone for making it such a dynamic game, but I suppose...
And I'll say, I mean, the conversation system, that's what really has me interested as far as Alpha Protocol goes.
I don't think I could care any less about the shooting mechanic. It's just that conversation system and seeing it where the only thing that you have to tell what kind of response you're going to give is the suave, is the aggressive, and then your character just plays out. I do really like that aspect of the game. That interests me.
And I'd certainly say, if you have the chance, definitely give it a play. I played it on PC, so I don't know. I've heard there have been technical difficulties on the Xbox and PS3 versions, but mine ran smooth as butter most of the time. So if you have that, I'd say give it a shot if you're interested in the conversation. And if you have to work your way around the combat, then go for the shotgun build.
the shotgun ultimate CIA agent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really just shoot people in the face, with no regard for what.
God dang it, Mike! You're a loose cannon. I want your.
Darn it! I wish it would be great if I could get a mafia like Tommy gun, so I could just spray bullets everywhere.
Well, you've got the dual SMGs if you're into that, but yeah.
For the CIA.
Hey, don't be trying.
What was that?
I was trying to pull a gangster accent with you, but I failed miserably.
Shut up.
He's a gangster clown.
Shut up, Muggsy.
Hey.
Right, so
it's like Homer Simpson said, kids, you tried your best and failed miserably. Lesson is never try.
Good reference. All right. We got some old school Simpsons jokes now. I think the podcast is complete. Now, to keep everything rolling, Zach, I'm not trying to cut.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Anything else you want to say about Alpha Protocol?
I mean, I've really kind of summed up my opinion. The combat shaky, the rest of the gameplay shaky, but the dialogue is really where it's at.
Okay. So now, Dennis, regale us with what you've been playing. I'm guessing you've still been playing Strange Journey, but what else have you been doing?
Well, not much on progress in Strange Journey. It was more so on the Xbox indie game Breath of Death 7, which I'm at the final dungeon at, and I'll be doing the coverage for the site.
Is this an Xbox Live arcade game? What is this?
It's an indie game, actually developed by some people that are lurking in the boards.
Oh, cool.
Robert Boyd.
Okay.
So anyhow, fun game. It's built as a quote-unquote conservative RPG with some interesting tweaks.
See, doesn't it? It has a nice ring, doesn't it, guys? It really does.
Total carnage. I love it.
Conservative.
It's made to look like a 16-bit game with 16-bit music and 16-bit sprites, and has Dragon Quest feel to it. Which I'm also doing a retro review of the NES one because why not? Just for the hell of it.
See, I've only actually ever played Dragon Quest 8, which I loved. I loved very dearly, but I don't know if I could go back.
I tell you, I could be crucified for saying this, but the Dragon Quest game that I personally found the most fun was Rocket Slime. I like
that one.
Loved Rocket Slime.
Slimes are awesome. Enough said.
Yeah, if I ever go to Japan, I am definitely going to get like a slime keychain or something. So.
Heck, we need more slime-oriented games.
Yes, we do. Slime dating. There you go. No, we're going to get into trouble again. All right, moving on.
All right, so I guess the thing about the game is I like the dialogue, even though there's not much in terms of plot or character interactions and stuff. I just think it's cleverly written because of all the references that's incorporated. Some are quite blatant, like, just throwing in random game quotes and stuff within the dialogue.
No, you're talking about Breath of Death, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
And some more, much more subtle that I actually didn't realize, and you wonder why I didn't realize it yet. For example, I was wondering about the strange town names, for instance, and then I realized, oh, that's actually quite ingenious. Because you see, I found out that basically all the towns in the game are using two names, the English version, the English name and Japanese name of an RPG game or series, and then just incorporate them together as one word. For example, Motherbound.
Oh,
I
cool.
get it.
Oh,
that's cute.
Thank you, Neal. That was the joke.
Yeah, and some other games like Lufistopolis, which is Luffy and Estipolis, the English and Japanese names, and delves onto other things. And this is something again I didn't notice right away either. But when I was just talking to some random NPCs and just kind of glanced on some of the names and stuff, it's like, oh, they actually named about every NPC after an RPG character, some with just occasional missing letters or parts of the name and stuff like that.
How many are named Flower Girl?
Yeah, well, there is Aerith.
Yeah, there you go. Is she walking around with a big honking sword through her chest? Just like, oh, geez.
No, but ironically, everyone, you play as the undead. So, there you go, in a sense.
Oh, I guess that makes the Breath of Death title make sense.
Yes, because basically there was war that occurred in the story, and they launched a nuke, but the world imploded upon itself. So everyone's the Walking Dead. Way to go, guys!
I like it. Well, I'm a huge Left 4 Dead player, so there you go. Like I play that all the time. So, anything else you got for us, Dennis, or is that
much? Well, not much else. Otherwise, I recently got Hex's Force on the mail yesterday. Thank you, Neal, for that.
Oh, certainly.
I'll be sending you over Persona PSP at some point. I just need to not be lazy and find it.
Not a problem, dude.
Nice. And I didn't play much of Hex's Force myself, but I'm impressed so far. At least the gameplay-wise, there's not much for me to say about the story.
Ladies and gentlemen, a complete shocker. Dennis loves it.
Yes. And I guess there's just one thing I really like about the gameplay. The combat is fast. Really fast.
Oh, and let me tell you, I think if you press the R1 button, it goes even faster.
No, that's the thing. It goes really, really fast with the R1 button.
Oh.
It just turns basically it's fast forward. You can hold on to X with the easier mobs, and there you go. In just 1 second, you win.
Yeah. You can fast forward conversations if you want to with the R1.
It kind of sounds like the thing that you got when you beat Chrono Cross and you played it through again. Mm-hmm. And I used to just hold that button down during everything, like in the whole game, just to get through it in like 10 hours.
Yeah,
the normal speed, it's perfectly reasonable. Just some little long attack animations and things like that, but the R button, not the R1. PSP only has an L and R.
Yeah.
It just battles go by in a split second, plus little to no loading. At least it's a very fast-paced RPG. You could just grind away easily.
Because I'll tell you, I mean, that even though I loved the conversations in Hex's Force, they were well written. Slow-moving dialogue. That bothers me so much in Xenogears.
Oh, yeah, that and Okami with the, like... Let's play that game on mute. Anything else to add, Dennis, or are you all...
Not much else. So, yeah, like I said, thank you, Neal, for Hex's Force. And just to let you guys know that even though I'm pretty much the voice of reason, the most calm guy of the group, I'm also the residential leech who likes to snatch and borrow things from everyone else.
See, and I don't lend my stuff to anyone, so don't ever try to get a game from me.
Yeah, and I know. I have no problem, sharing the wealth. I give Dennis takes. It's all good.
And I come over to another staffer's place and borrow his stuff, and he still hasn't seen it since. Oh, even that cute hat.
That's it.
Oh, boy.
That's it. I'm locking my fridge next time you come over.
Oh, boy. So, moving on to me, I was playing the game of Let's Get Rob a Job this week, so I didn't really have time for anything. I was actually out of town at a job interview, but just giving you guys just a quick rundown of what I was doing this week before that. I lost my argument on Dawn of War 2, which I'm still upset about, so I will not be reviewing Dawn of War 2 for RPGFan for the site. I think I put...
We could always talk about it here on the podcast.
I haven't even had a chance to play the dang game yet. I mean,
I meant for next time, dude.
Okay. No, I think I put forth some good arguments. I definitely think it's borderline, but I do understand why it wasn't considered an RPG. So I'm not going to sit there and fight.
I did play that game a fair lot too, thanks to you. It's like, hey, you got me interested. I gave it a shot. I failed miserably at it, but it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. I'm going to be reviewing Oblivion, the PS3 version. I seem to be the retro review guy right now, so I'll be reviewing Oblivion.
Yeah, you're the retro review guy.
Okay. Dragon Quest beats me a little bit, but so
and Breath of Death, which is basically a Dragon Quest clone. So there.
Okay. All right. You win this round, sir. But I will be I will be playing Oblivion this week. I played the game to absolute death 3 summers ago actually. So I'll probably just play it again a little bit to refamiliarize myself with it, and then put up my review. And then, while I was actually back home, my buddy Brian, I'm going to give him a shout-out, he gave me his copy of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. So I do have a copy of it right now, and I'll probably start playing it, not for review, just to play, because that's a series that I never really played. I was mostly playing Final Fantasy on the PlayStation, so I never played Persona 1 or 2. I never played any of the Shin Megami Tensei games. I've never actually imported a game, so maybe I am like the mainstream gamer here. So I really want to get more into the Shin Megami games, because even though Persona 3 I didn't play the whole way through because I got kind of frustrated that you didn't have a complete control over your characters, I absolutely loved Persona 4. I'm really interested in playing Nocturne and maybe going back and playing Digital Devil Saga right now. So I really want to get back into the Shin Megami Tensei games, because it seems like my kind of vibe right now. So hopefully I'll have some good things to say about Nocturne in the next couple weeks. But other than that, I really haven't been doing anything of merit. So unless you guys have questions for me, I think we could just move on to the editorial section, honestly.
Yeah, Digital Devil Saga. That was actually my first foray into the Shin Megami Tensei games.
Okay.
Not Nocturne nor Persona.
Yeah, I've been a Megami Tensei fanboy since Persona on the PlayStation, so I'm kind of old school.
Yeah. So, now, like, what we like to do is we like to have the guest pick out a topic of discussion when they're on, and Neal, I'm going to let you give us what the topic is, and then we're all going to have a little something to say about it.
Sure. I thought it would be fun to talk about, like, some of our biggest RPG pet peeves, because I think we all have a bunch of those. I mean, and what's interesting is that one of my biggest pet peeves was actually, I thought it was actually fun and engaging in Hex's Force, which is the breakable or limited use equipment. Normally, I think breakable weapons are just a pain in the neck and designed to just frustrate me, but oddly enough, if equipment wasn't limited use in Hex's Force, the balance would be off. Game would be way too easy.
I don't know. I've never played a game where any weapon could degrade. I've never enjoyed that mechanic. Even Demon's Souls, which was like my favorite game of last year, it was annoying because I never had equipment break. I just had to go back and sell a little bit of currency to repair the. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, 99% of the time, I hate that mechanic. It was okay in Hex's Force, but there are some peeves that I just cannot stand 100% of the time. Like, for example, random encounters in puzzle rooms, hate that. I'm trying to concentrate on a puzzle.
I had that problem in Shadow Hearts.
Whew. Yeah, and I'm like, if I'm playing a handheld game, it should have a quick save. Hex's Force did not have a quick save. I didn't like that.
Yeah. I have that the PSP battery life isn't that great compared to the DS.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of my other gripes? So yeah, can't stand grinding. I mean,
I love grinding, honestly. I love it.
Oh man, I have to disagree with you because to me, the only time grinding is fun is if it involves a girl with a big booty at a dance club. I'm sorry.
I see.
Oh boy. Boy.
If I have to grinding in an RPG, not fun.
No, but see, I think a grind can actually be a good thing. The example that I used before was Persona. When you're playing that game and when you start off in a new dungeon, it's always very, very hard. Like, the enemies are super powerful. And if you spend some time in that dungeon and you maybe don't go complete the objective in the set amount of time that you have and you spend maybe a couple extra days, you get much more powerful in just 2 or 3 level ups. So you're not grinding for very long, but the advancement of your character is very prevalent. It's very obvious that your character got stronger in just a couple level ups. So if you are grinding like 15 levels, for example, and you're barely seeing anything out of it, then yes, I do have a problem with grinding. But if just a little bit of grinding, and all of a sudden you went from being like, oh man, these enemies are really, really hard to, wow, I can just run them over. I mean, it really does make me feel good, if I put in just a little bit of time to make my character stronger. So grinding doesn't really bother me too much.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, because even with the Megaten games, probably because I'm so used to those gameplay mechanics, I'm usually able to, pick the right demons or pick the right personas, so that way I have the skills and resistances I need where I don't have to grind too much.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something about Megaten is that so much emphasis is constantly put on having the right, either elemental effects or, right Magatama or Persona equipped, depending on what game you're playing. But, I personally, I fall on Neal's side of the fence with this one. I really just hate, because a lot of the reason I play RPGs is for the story, and, that's definitely what kept me going through Alpha Protocol, and that's been kind of what's been keeping me going through a lot of the recent RPGs that I've played, and having to stop story progression just so that I can, make my character more powerful in the grand scheme of things, it rubs me the wrong way.
So that kind of varies with me. Sorry.
I was going to say, why don't we talk about some other pet peeves? Let's not just.
I just want to take a little bit on the grinding, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Basically, it kind of depends with me. Depends on the game. For example, I don't mind grinding if the combat is fast paced and it doesn't take long, or if it's slow but rewardful and it does make a difference. Like with Hexus Force, like I mentioned earlier, the combat is fast. So I could probably be grinding in that game. Just as the satisfaction to see how badly I could destroy my foes.
Yeah. Well, and since Rob, you said you wanted to go on, I mean, I got here. My personal biggest pet peeve is if an RPG has chained fetch quests.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I hate those. I'm not sure if I need to give an example, but.
There's about 10 million of them in games. I mean, just that whole, I need to go get the cherry to help out this guy. Oh, well, to get the cherry, you have to go and put this square peg into a round hole. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you.
Yeah, even though I liked that game, Crimson Gem Saga, it had some really bad chained fetch quests, and those were not fun.
Well, Zack or Dennis, what other pet peeves do you have? I mean, there's got to be a lot more. I mean, I know I have one that I'm saving up. So
I mean, sorry, go for it.
My biggest pet peeve has to go with the backtracking woes. It can get downright annoying and evil.
Backtracking can be cool, though, if different things happened in the town. Like, if you're going back to a town and different things happened, and maybe, like going back to Midgar in Final Fantasy VII, like you had to go find the key card to get back in. I really liked that because you hadn't been there for almost 20 or 30 hours.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends with me. For example, I like side quests, things like that. You gotta go back and forth to these long stretch of areas, no shortcuts or teleportations and some things like that. With all the random encounters back and right in your way.
So would a backtracking pet peeve, would this count as that? Like, for example, where you get to the boss at the end of the dungeon, and then you still have to hoof it back to the entrance.
Yes.
Oh, what is that?
I do not like that.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I've got one which goes to our discussion about Dragon Age, and I find that it really happens in Western RPGs more than any other, is the feeling like I'm going to break my character. Like, I have 10 million skills to choose from. I'm only, 3 or 4 hours into a game. I just got my first level up, and I'm sitting there going, wow, what do I do here? Which skill do I advance? Even more so if you have a game where you can level up an individual skill. Diablo 2, I love it, but when that game first came out, I was playing as a necromancer, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll put all my skill points into Summon Skeleton and Skeleton Mastery. But those skills, as the game goes on, they get weaker. Like, they start becoming less and less effective. So I was technically screwing myself just by pumping more and more points into these skills, and I effectively break my character. Same thing happened in Dragon Age. So with my mage, I just wasn't getting enough crowd control spells. So I think having a respec option, I mean, it's hard. In order to deal with that pet peeve, you have to have a respec option. But respecing can make a game too easy, because then if you come into an area that you're not ready for, you just respec your character real quick, take on that area, and then respec them back to what you like. So there has to be kind of a punishment for it. But you can't – it's walking a fine line between experimentation with a game and – making sure that you're making your character properly. And really, I think that onus falls on the developers to make sure that I cannot actively screw over my character just by experimenting.
I guess there's just one solution I could just think of, just an idea. Have a respec option, but only once.
Yeah.
Maybe twice.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
I think they already said that Diablo 3, they're going to have a respec option. And isn't it in Dragon Age Awakenings you can respec your character, like, right away if you didn't like him? I think you can.
I believe so, yeah. I mean, that's something what Torchlight, one of the mods for Torchlight did was they have a respec potion that you can buy. And it's not an exorbitant sum of money, but it is a fairly large money sink. So it's that kind of balances, are you going to go for that, extra armor or that enchant or whatever, or do you go for, the respec? And so I think that's like a good balance between the two.
Yeah. So what's your pet peeve, Zach? You've been really quiet.
It's kind of a combination, and this is between Dennis's and Neal's, and it has mostly to do with talking to characters. And so if you have to backtrack to, every city and talk to every character over and over again, that really rubs the wrong way. The Tales series does this a little bit. I mean, at least if you want to get, like every subquest and every, little grade, bonus that you can, you really do have to talk to every character after every big plot event, and it just bugs me. Another thing which is slightly, applies to more, a larger collection of genres is if you accidentally, like if you're trying to get through the text because you've heard it all already, and then you accidentally hit A again, and it's just like, oh god.
Yeah, you gotta restart the conversation.
That's a fairly general one, but that's what really gets me, going.
Well, then that must mean that you loved Final Fantasy 13 because you have no towns. Oh wait, you didn't play it.
Yeah, not there yet. I mean, if you still have your copy that you wanna send my direction,
I was actually thinking about breaking it. Yeah.
It could be so much better used.
I said, what do you got for it? Let's make a deal. You give me a game, I'll give you a
Oh yeah, hey, well, if I hadn't already promised Resonance of Fate to another staffer in exchange for someone else, I would have put that one up.
Maybe we'll discuss after the show, but yeah.
So do we have any more pet peeves or?
Well, there's something I just want to mention a little more about the backtracking. If you don't mind. I guess there's another thing that I just kind of noticed actually in some of the indie games I played, courtesy of Neal. Basically, there are some indie games where, okay, you get this item where you could, teleport to previous areas and stuff, right? And then, it just disables at the most inconvenient moments. For example, it was a long haul in this game called Dark Souls 2, where you had to travel through this dungeon, which was pretty far, a lot of enemies in the way, things like that, right? And after you said and done, you have to go to the dungeon and you have to go back the long path. Sure, you got the shortcut teleportation, but for some reason it's disabled. There's no plot relevance or any explanation. It just happened.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that just, that sounds like it could be just like a bug or something, because that would piss me off if I have a teleport device and then, sorry, we sold you a faulty one, but we didn't tell you. Ha ha, sucker, we ripped you off.
Yeah, the thing is, I even noticed in some other games that have, like, the imports otherwise where you get the teleportation device, yet it conveniently just turns itself off, even though some kind of makes sense with the story, but annoying nonetheless. Happened with E7 when I played that in the import, where you get this huge area, halfway through the game you lose all the teleportation shortcuts, and you have to go around to gather them all again.
Well, I'm not trying to pick on you, Dennis, but I don't know if anybody else is having it right now. I'm having a little bit of trouble with your mic. Is anybody else hearing that, or am I the only one?
He's cutting off a little bit.
Okay, so Dennis, take a second to maybe unplug your mic and plug it back in, and I'll cover for you for a second. Just letting the listeners know, we do this through Skype, so I do apologize for mic problems and that sort of thing, but you kind of got to give us a little bit of a break there. I mean, we're doing this podcast. We're all in different areas. Hopefully at some point we'll do a live podcast of all of us.
Yeah.
Much better.
Awesome.
Weird.
So maybe we'll do one like live, but things like mic problems and stuff. Give us a little bit of a break on that. We're still trying to get that done. So if the go ahead.
Star Trek Scotty Beam technology doesn't exist yet. Otherwise, yeah, I'd probably be teleporting to like where you guys are.
I don't think I'd want you in my house, Neal. I can already tell I'd be deeply concerned. So
you've heartbroken him. How could you?
A little bit. So I figured to keep in the interest of keeping the podcast moving, why don't we move on to, I'm sure, Zach's favorite part of the show, where he gets to take over and tell us news, and I get to interject with yawns and signs of indifference. So take it away, Zach.
E7 to receive a deluxe collector's edition.
Yawn.
Oh, come on! Hey, that little Facebook page they have where you could potentially have your name in the game is kind of cool.
Yes.
I mean, so a little bit of background on this. Xseed, who is bringing over E7, they've announced this deluxe collector's edition for the PSP release, and it includes a cloth map. Yeah, a cloth map.
Yeah.
And let's see, soundtrack CD. Oh, sorry.
I got to think about where my cloth map is for Final Fantasy VIII. It's probably somewhere in my parents' house. I have no idea where that thing is. Anywho.
Yeah, so cloth map, soundtrack CD, 60-page art book. But I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since games have included cloth maps.
Apparently from when I heard about the art book, basically it's from, E7 and also Otenfeldkan and Chronicles 1 and 2. So 3-in-1 kind of art book deal.
I always like art books.
Nice.
I really like seeing the art development for a game, like the original vision for what they had and what they eventually end up with. I usually don't spend more than $10 on special editions and that sort of stuff. Like I bought the special edition of Fallout 3 because it came with a little lunchbox, and I'm looking forward to being able to take that into work. Don't judge. And like I bought the God of War 3 special edition because it had like the little mini Pandora's box that you can like put stuff in. So sometimes special editions are good, and this sounds like there's actually stuff. Now, it doesn't sound like it's on the same level of like the StarCraft 2 special edition, which is like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, Blizzard does a proper special edition, but
yeah, I mean, Blizzard just they're Blizzard. Okay, whatever. All right, so what else you got for us?
Now, for those of you who were here with us last week, we had the announcement that the new Fire Emblem is going to be coming out sometime. Eventually, hopefully, it's coming out July 15th in Japan. But there's they just announced this new system called like the My Unit system, which allows you to, it kind of adds a side story to the game and allows you to customize this unit that you are able to use. And so, I mean, just anybody's take on that?
Yawn.
Not real. I'm not the biggest strategy RPG fan, and Fire Emblem seems like it would kick my butt repeatedly. Sorry, not too interested.
Yeah, well, I'll play it at some point. We'll see how this new system goes. Otherwise, not feeling a little indifferent.
Yeah.
I'm Dennis. I like everything.
I mean, I've played my fair share of Fire Emblem, and it seems like just kind of an interesting way to boost the this is the one with Marth, so or one.
That cheap SOB from Super Smash Brothers Melee.
That's the one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
this is one of those.
One who's
So
mistaken for a girl.
Yeah, Ken, if you are listening to this podcast, you are the cheapest player ever with Marth. I'm sorry. That kid made me literally throw his GameCube controller across the room. He was so cheap with Marth. I'm sorry. That's like a dagger in my heart right now. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so it's a little bit of extra content to even out the older gameplay. But I guess moving on to our third story for the evening. Does anybody dabble in the MMOs, the MMO market?
I know I should actively avoid World of Warcraft because I literally think I would sell my soul to that game.
So then perhaps a free Lord of the Rings Online might sway your decision.
Oh, it's free. It must be good because
of course.
Well, things in life
I mean, it's of course.
Yeah.
Go for it.
One of our new staff members, Adam, I think he listed Lord of the Rings as his favorite MMO in that recent article we did.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Lord of the Rings goes, it's very much one of the kind of World of Warcraft clones, but I think they did pretty well to distinguish themselves, at least with the license. But so the general just kind of news is it's going free to play sometime this fall with the next big update, which is going to have continuing the game's epic story, and it's going to have DirectX 11 support. For those of you with destroy everything computers. Then there's
that would be mine.
So you're gonna finally splurge on that.
If I end up getting this job that I went for an interview for, I am gonna buy a $5,000 Alienware, I fully intend to.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
mind if I say something about Lord of the Rings Online?
go for it.
Well, technically I didn't play the game myself, but interestingly enough, when I was at PAX East, there was a booth. They were just giving away those games, the limited edition with the soundtrack, the art books, and everything, but a fancy box. Maybe with this freebie thing, I should give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean.
I have.
Sorry.
What was that, dude?
Sorry.
He hates me. I know.
At least sing a Blind Guardian song. At least their music's relevant to Lord of the Rings.
Oh, God. I know. I was thinking maybe we could go back to the Raining Blood. Just blood metal and.
But yeah, so they're also going to be opening up an in-game store where you can purchase anything ranging from a healing potion to extra character slots, premium classes, and even all the way up to a full expansion. And so I think.
Are they going to come out with an iPhone app and then charge you for it?
Maybe. I mean, nothing in the press release about that, but there's nothing saying that they won't. I don't know. I think as far as the MMO market goes, I'm interested to see, just generally how, with more massively multiplayer games embracing a free-to-play structure. And this isn't Turbine, who's the developers. It's not their first massively multiplayer to go free-to-play. Dungeons & Dragons Online went free-to-play sometime earlier this year or late last year.
Please play our game. Please.
Apparently, though, it's been really good for sales. And, when you do have those microtransactions feeding your game, I'm interested to see, obviously World of Warcraft is just the cash cow that it is. They're not going to change it, but, it's interesting. I'm hoping that perhaps this will sway future developments and, to change it.
In other news, Blizzard actually bought Uncle Scrooge's Money Pit. So they have two. And the Beagle Boys are actually trying to tunnel into it right now as we speak.
Oh, boy.
Oh yeah, let's see how many listeners get that reference. Yeah. Bunch of bucks.
DuckTales rocked.
Here in Duckburg.
Nah,
All right. Any other news for us, Zach? Or are we
I guess the last thing is there's this new Deus Ex trailer. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's kind of awesome.
I didn't think Deus Ex was an RPG.
I mean, the original one.
I don't know.
The Deus Ex 1, certainly, I'd say it falls on the RPG scale of RPGs. But
it's on the RPG scale.
sometimes the words don't come out. The RPG end of the scale. There we go. But yeah, I don't know if you guys if any of the listeners have a moment to check out the new trailer. No gameplay showed yet, but there's, it seems really like I had no interest up until now, and I've only played a very small amount of the original Deus Ex, which definitely was an RPG. But I'm excited to see what they do with this new one, and there's definitely kind of to tie into E3 predictions. I want to see more about Deus Ex.
You won't see anything else about Deus Ex. That's going to be 2012, I would say.
Really?
You're looking at late 2011, 2012 for that game. We haven't even seen any gameplay for it. All it's been is just like concept videos.
This is true. I mean, I'm hoping that this is the E3 trailer that's been either leaked or kind of put out on of the developer's accord, but I really hope that they'll either have a presentation or something besides the trailer to show. I mean, I guess it would be at the Square Enix booth, because
that's true.
Eidos picked them up. So, I'm really excited to see what happens when at come E3 for that.
So with the talk about E3, I think each of us should make one E3 prediction, just to see how well we shoot from this. We will probably be doing a podcast from E3. One of us will be hosting, and then we'll let people that are actually at E3, because I know Zack and I are new, so we're not important enough to go to E3. More like I don't have money for it right now. But so I'm going to start, because I don't want anybody taking my thunder on this one, because I think I have an easy one. Final Fantasy Versus 13, not at E3. Maybe just another trailer of Nomura's character designs and Noctis being all like, ooh, I'm grumpy. But no gameplay, nothing shown. That game is getting completely redesigned right now because of the fallout from Final Fantasy 13. Who's going to disagree with me? On a side note, Kim also corrected everybody. I was right last week. Fallout 3 does not have scaling enemies. I knew I was right on that. Kyle, suck it. I knew I was right. I knew we need a shirt that says Rob was right, because I'm always going to be right, and I will be right on Versus 13.
Yeah.
Challenge me.
I guess.
Well, then we'll just have to see what happens next time.
Yeah. I guess for my prediction, aside from hoping that Deus Ex will be there, I'm really looking forward to hearing anything about new Kingdom Hearts stuff, and certainly Birth by Sleep should be there, which is one of the. No?
You want zippers? You want more zippers and Mickey Mouse?
I have a special place in my heart for Kingdom Hearts. It's just one of my favorite series of all time.
Well, I mean, get ready. You're not going to see anything about Kingdom Hearts 3. You're going to see a lot of stuff on Birth by Sleep, because we're going to have the English localization for that.
Yep.
So you're going to see a lot of stuff about Birth by Sleep, but you're not going to see anything on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Unfortunately, I mean there has been kind of word of Kingdom Hearts Recoded, which if you take out the re in that is Kingdom Hearts Coded, which was the mobile phone game that came out a while back, which wasn't particularly fawned upon, but. I don't know. I'm hoping. I have my fingers crossed, and maybe if Nomura.
But now, no, Neal, don't do the Mickey Mouse impression. No.
Okay, I promise.
But now
I won't do Donald Duck singing Metallica either.
But now here's a question.
Oh, now I'm intrigued.
Birth by Sleep is out in Japan, is it not? It is.
Yep.
Has anything come up on YouTube, because they always put those dang secret movies into the game? Has anything come up on YouTube, like the secret movie that they put at the end of a Kingdom Hearts game showing the next direction? Has anything come out like that? That's when you're first going to start hearing about the next Kingdom Hearts project. When you see that movie.
There is. I just checked on YouTube. There seems to be a secret ending that is subtitled, and for the purpose of not spoiling myself on what actually happens in Birth by Sleep, I think I'm gonna skip on that. But who knows? We might be seeing depending on. I'd imagine that real Kingdom Hearts 3 news will come no sooner than TGS, but
it's
a man can dream.
TGS. Yeah, it's not even going to be TGS, dude. I mean, I thought that the Birth by Sleep video that was in Kingdom Hearts 2, the one that was in the remixed Kingdom Hearts 2, I thought that was amazing. Like My thing on Kingdom Hearts is I would actually like it if they would go one direction or the other. If they would go completely with the Mickey Mouse stuff and get rid of Nomura's craziness, or if they would just absolutely embrace Nomura's craziness. Because you watch that Birth by Sleep trailer, the one with the three knights fighting around. I'm not very well versed in it, and that was awesome. But there's no Mickey Mouse influence except for at the end when there's Mickey Mouse. Okay, that's a bad example, but it seems like there's this real disconnect between the trailers and the vision for what they had for that series, and then the Disney stuff. And I do like the Disney stuff. I think that's awesome. But that's why I kind of hope that Versus 13, Nomura gets that all out of his system, and he just indulges himself on that, and maybe he returns Kingdom Hearts, cuts down on the story a little bit, because Kingdom Hearts' story is approaching Xenogears' level of craziness. So, pull it back in a little bit and put the focus on a simpler to understand story. That's what I would want Kingdom Hearts to do. Maybe I'm in the minority there.
Yeah. But anyways, so that's my predictions. Deus Ex, Kingdom Hearts. We'll see what happens.
Who's next?
All right.
I guess I'll. Oh, go ahead, Dennis.
Well, the thing is, I'm going to be pulling a cop out on this. I'm actually technically not going to be making a prediction because I'm never good in these things. There's always some kind of strange twist or some surprises of completely new games or sequel to such games that came out of the left field. So yeah, I don't really have anything.
No, you have to make a prediction. You have to. I will not allow this. You have to make a prediction.
Can I make a prediction for him?
Okay.
Predict.
Okay, Zach's going to make a prediction, and then I will judge you on it, Dennis. All right, Zach, do it.
Persona 5.
Oh, God, please. Oh,
yeah,
please.
That'd be lovely.
But
that would be sweet.
Wait. I want that thing on a next generation console.
Definitely.
I do not want a portable game. I really don't, because I play Persona and I get really into it, and I do have an aversion to portable games, so I would not want to play a portable Persona. I wouldn't. I want to see that. If that comes out on the Wii, I'll buy a Wii.
Oh man, I would really hope not, because I mean.
What was that, Dennis?
Atlas. Come on, Atlas, make more portable SMT games just to spite Rob.
Dude, you are cold.
No, if they're made to be portable, like when you talked about Strange Journey, that's made to be portable. But Persona, you could be caught up in a dialogue thread or in a huge long conversation or in a long dungeon, and I mean the very nature of Persona is that you go through the dungeon until you start getting too weak, and then you have to retreat. Now, you do have the PlayStation Portable. You can put it into sleep mode or whatever, and the same with the DS, but I don't want that. I don't like that. I would rather just play it on a console. But Persona 5, I don't think we're going to see Persona 5 at E3. I guess I'm judging all the E3 productions.
No, I agree with you there. It's just a blind hope.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll see it either.
I think we might see it at TGS. We might. I think TGS is a much bigger possibility than.
If not Persona 5, then some other Shin Megami Tensei game.
Oh yeah, we'll see something.
Spin-off or a sequel to one of the spin-offs.
I mean, I don't think there's any doubt Atlas will show something Mega 10.
Yeah, but I think it'll be TGS. I don't know if we're gonna. Mega 10 still isn't a huge series in America. I think it's getting more. It's got a really solid cult following right now, and Atlas is just doing a great job of basically spoiling their fans rotten with the special editions and stuff. So Atlas is doing a very good job with that, but I don't think we'll see anything at E3.
Yeah.
All right, Neal, you're the last one with the E3 prediction. Go.
You know what? I'm not sure where to go since all the good predictions were taken.
I know that's first.
Exactly, but I am looking forward to seeing if Xseed shows more about those Legend of Heroes games, since I don't really know much about that series.
I would love to know that also.
So I'm interested in that, and like everyone else, interested in seeing what Atlas has to bring to the table, and you know what? And
what about Squaresoft's mystery project? Squaresoft has been dropping.
Squaresoft? You said Squaresoft.
Square Enix,
I still call
him Squaresoft.
I predict that Mystery Project will be that Final Fantasy IV Heroes thing for the DS.
Oh, that would be so dirty of them. That's so
They're not above these dirty tactics like that once in a while. I mean, but seriously, for me, best SquareSoft game, well, okay, Square Enix game I played in the last 5 years was The World Ends With You. So
that was good.
And I don't see that series going anywhere.
Sadly.
Dennis, you were trying to say something in there. What were you trying to say?
Yeah, I guess the thing is, knowing Square Enix, it'll probably be something, with something Final Fantasy related, or yet another Final Fantasy VII related project, because there's never enough 7 for them.
But here's another thing to think about.
Seven's been retconned to death.
I don't want to see any more Final Fantasy VII stuff, but I don't think that it's necessarily an RPG product, because you got to remember, Square Enix now owns Eidos. So we might see, for example, I know that they have the downloadable Tomb Raider coming out. We might see a full Tomb Raider. We might see a Hitman game, please. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be an RPG, but if it is an RPG, you have to think, if they're showing it at E3, it has to be a franchise that's big in America. What are the big Square Enix franchises in America? Final
Fantasy, Dragon Quest.
No. I would say Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, which gets to Zack's hopeful prediction. I don't think it's going to happen, but Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and that's at Chrono? Could we get Chrono Break? No, not going to happen.
You know what I just thought of? Remember that the action game that Grin was working on for Square Enix, supposedly.
Yeah.
Now that Square has, taken over Eidos, there's every possibility. And, granted, this is, again, a long shot, but it's very possible that they could bring it back with another Western developer and kind of go off of what Grin did.
And Square was saying that this was going to be an industry changer. This was going to be something that was really big. And I think what Grin was working on, that Final Fantasy XII project, I mean, personally, I don't know what to think of it. It just has Dirge of Cerberus written all over it for me, but, and that's not me saying anything at Grin. That's just, the way I see it. I think that you might be right. We might see something labeled Final Fantasy that isn't a conservative Final Fantasy game in that sense. It's something in a Final Fantasy world, but I think Square is going to come out with something interesting. I don't know if it's going to make everybody happy, but we just have to see. And then we have Front Mission Evolved coming out, but nobody seems to care about Front Mission anymore.
Except our PR master, John.
Oh, good. So I can just tick him off more today? Awesome. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We never got Front Mission 5.
I loved Front Mission 3. I didn't like the other Front Missions. So. All right, guys. If we're done with the E3 predictions, I think we're done for the second episode of Random Encounter. Just letting the listeners know, we're going to be switching this to bi-weekly. That gives us a chance to play the games more, and that way we're not sitting here struggling to find content. I imagine the next podcast will be during E3. Again, we have, I think, 4 or 5 people that are going to E3. Nobody from this podcast, I don't think. So
I'm certainly not.
Yeah, I can't right now. But, either myself or somebody else will be hosting a podcast with the people out at E3, so we'll try to get some input. I know I'm going to be watching the conferences very closely, so I may not have a lot of RPG things to talk about, depending on how much they show RPGs at the conferences, but I will do my best to try to get some information out of our people that are on the front lines. So with that, thank you very much for listening. For Zack, Neal, and Dennis, this is Rob. And we will talk to you next time.